Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we are going to be going over calf pain. One of our viewers asked if we could do some series on calf pain and what to do about it. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So I want to go over the anatomy. I'm going to really go over a 6-part series, just like we do with all the other types of pains that we go over. It's important that we address the anatomy, the different causes, and then what you can do about it with stretches and different manual techniques so you have a better understanding of what you're doing and why. So the first piece, if you have calf pain, typically what that means, if I can reach my leg up this high, I can't. You just get pain below the knee on the back side of your leg, and you can strain it, you can tweak it, you can tear it, you can do a number of different things. Now, the anatomy is really broken down into 3 different muscle groups. So you have your gastrocnemius, which is like the thick part of your calf. Whenever you see somebody walking, that's typically what you're going to see. Now, there's two different parts to the gastrocnemius. So you have a medial component, which means it's like the inside of the gastroc, and then you have a lateral component, which is the outside of the gastroc. And then underneath that, you have something called your soleus. And your soleus muscle is like a flat paper-like muscle that sits deep underneath it. And whenever someone strains their calf muscle, it's typically one of these 3 muscles that are involved. So I'm going to teach you guys how to stretch those out and how to target it. It's nothing overly fancy, but this stuff works. So might as well do it, right? So the first stretch that I'm going to encourage you guys to do is a couple up against the wall. Some of these you guys have seen already, I'm sure, but I want to make sure you guys are doing it right. Let me get this. There we go. Okay, so these calf stretches that I want you guys to do, say this is your affected leg. Your toe should be pointed completely towards the wall, not out to the side. And when you're leaning into this exercise, I want you to lock out that back knee completely, and this is going to stretch out your gastrocnemius muscles that we were talking about earlier. So you're going to lock out that knee, and then with this leg closest to the wall, I want to be far enough away where this knee doesn't hit the wall. And I'm going to lean into it, and I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds. I'm going to do that 5 times. Now, I should be feeling a nice big pull right in the back of the gastrocs. So you have to remember that the gastrocs attach above the knee and actually down and form into your Achilles. So it's important that we keep that knee straight, because if the knee's not straight, then ultimately you're not going to be stretching out the gastroc as good as you could be. And so it's really important to lock that leg out. So you're going to be doing that 5 times for 30 seconds. Now stretch out the soleus muscle, which is the muscle underneath your calf. You're actually going to take that same leg, now you're going to actually bring it towards the wall. You want to bring it about, I would say about 6 to 12 inches away from the wall. And then what you're going to do, this is your bad leg closest to the wall, is you're going to actually bend your knee and then keep your heel on the ground, and then you're going to sink towards that wall. Now you should feel a nice little pull behind your calf and probably even down into your ankle. And you're just going to focus on deep breathing, and you're going to count to 30, and you're going to do that 5 different times. So that's going to address your soleus muscle, which is that muscle that sits underneath your gastrocs, and it doesn't attach above the knee joint. And so that's why we're bending the knee and going into that deep stretch. And so you want to do both of those stretches to address the calf tightness. Now, what you want to do in addition to that is stretch out your nerves in that area. And so here in the States, we're typically trained on stretching out muscles and joints. Well, overseas, particularly in New Zealand and Australia, something they really focus on is nerve mobility. So when you get calf pain, what communicates that pain to your brain? It's ultimately your nerves, right? And so you wouldn't know about your pain unless your nerves were communicating to your brain about your pain. So what we want to do is we want to make sure the nerves are moving properly in your extremities. So whenever you get an injury and that nerve gets frazzled, then you can get something called nerve tension. So that nerve doesn't move as well. So imagine there's a string that runs through my arm just like this. So from my neck all the way down to my fingers. Well, when I move my arm back and forth, that nerve has to be able to glide back and forth. Through repetitive trauma or just irritation, that nerve can get really stiff. And so we need to start mobilizing these nerves, which will ultimately decrease your pain and improve your mobility. So it's important with calf pain that we also stretch out the nerves that are in that area. And I'm going to show you my favorite stretch that you've probably never done before. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit on the ground. I'm going to this down a little bit more. Okay, you're gonna sit on the ground. You're gonna put your feet flat up against the wall, lock out your knees here, take your chin down to your chest, elbows together, and you're gonna lean down. You're just gonna focus on deep breathing. With each deep breath, try to get more and more into it. You're gonna feel a huge pull behind here. Do that for 45 seconds, 5 times, and I guarantee you're gonna feel like that area loosens up. So those are the different stretches that I'd be focused on. Another piece that you guys can focus on is joint mobility in your ankle. So if you don't have great mobility in your ankle, then what can happen is if your ankle's not moving right, then you can get limited dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. And then what happens is over time, every time you take a step, it puts more and more stress on your calf. So if your ankle's locked up, then we need to get that puppy moving. So that's what I'm gonna show you guys how to do next. I'm out of breath. All right. So what I want you guys to do next is just repetitive motions in a lunge position. So take that bad foot or that bad calf leg and put it out in front of you. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna lean into the lunge and then just come right back out of it. And I want you to go as deep as you can into that movement. Try to keep your toes pointing straight ahead and just keep going back and forth. It should not be painful. And just going back and forth. You're not holding it. You're just going in a repetitive motion to the extreme, through the extreme motion that you can tolerate. And you're gonna do that about 10 to 15 times. Relax and then shake it out. And you can do that 3 sets. Now, if you wanna take it to the next level, you can take a mobility band and you're actually gonna wrap it around the front part of your ankle right in through here. And then you can step on it with your hind foot and then you can lunge back into it, and that's gonna loosen up that talus bone and your ankle joint even more. So while we're going through this stuff, just make sure you post any questions or comments you have below, and I'll be sure to answer them. Now, another facet of calf pain that a lot of people don't recognize or that they're not paying attention to is actually weakness in your hips. So if you've got a lot of weakness in your hips, it's going to change how you walk and how you shift and how you run or whatever you're doing on your feet. So it's really important that we tighten up and strengthen up not just your gluteus maximus, but your gluteus minimus and medius, which sits on the side of your hip over here. We've got a ton of videos on exercises for those in our YouTube channel, so go ahead and check those out. Now, another factor that I see with a handful of patients when they have calf pain is they just have crappy shoes. And so if you're getting any type of leg pain, particularly calf pain, then there's a good chance that your shoes are either overworn or they're just not the right fit for you. And so if you're on your feet a lot, it's worth, I'm a frugal guy. I like to save money where I can, and I used to be against spending a lot of money on shoes. However, with shoes, you get what you pay for. And so it's really good to go out and get fitted. Places like Fleet Feet here in the States, I've had good experiences with those. Someone that's gonna analyze how your feet move can drastically impact what shoes you're gonna buy. Now you're gonna pay probably between $100 to $150 for a pair of these shoes, but it can make a world of difference in your calf pain. So I'd highly recommend that. Now, the last piece of this is pay attention to your diet. So if you're eating bad food and you're eating a lot of processed food, then that can lead to more of an inflammatory response in the rest of your body, particularly where you have an injury. So if you're having a slow recovery, you're doing all the right stuff, and you're not focusing on your diet, it's really important to keep an eye on that. So you guys let me know if you have any questions or any other videos that you guys want to, or topics that you guys want me to go over, and I'll be sure to answer them. And you guys have a good rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.